for our Zoom. Oh, there we go. All right. This was a discussion online on Facebook on females can't be Diksha Gurus, or discussion on Diksha Gurus. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one with the question mark, right?
Yes, for Zoom
Okay,
discussion.
yeah. I like your opinion. I don't know what I write. What I write, and I realize when I write something in all caps, it's because I don't want to confuse it with a conversation. I want it to be a statement, sort of like a, you know, in China, whatever you put a stamp, a square stamp, and that's your statement, you know.
Sure.
I want to make things that are coming from spirit soul. It's coming from Paramatma to spirit soul to everybody, and not conversational, not relativistic, you know. And then I'm not suggesting I publish that on the website in all caps, but when I put it on Facebook, I don't want people to think that I'm just going blah 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 along with blah 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 what they're saying, you know. Maybe I'm mistaken, and I need feedback. I need
Sure. Yes.
To me, the best support for me is criticism. You know, if you understand I'm trying for perfection, then the best support for me is showing me, acknowledging the perfection parts, and then pointing out the parts that are not perfection. You know? Like in this paper, I'm thinking of getting a little closer because I want to make an incontrovertible argument. And I think this is approaching that. We're online right now.
Yep, we're live. Yep, we're live.
So let's go for
let's hit the road. Okay.
Well, you're in charge, so you.
Okay, here we go. So let's start reading this.
And I want you to be 100% in charge. You know, people know that I've got a loud voice and I have all this creds of being an early devotee and direct disciple of Prabhupada, and that it's fine. I don't mind that being there. It's not baggage for me. What it is just where I've been and what I've done and what I've exposed to and how I can help people distinguish between now and then, and distinguish between then and what Prabhupada actually wanted, not what he ended up getting, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I feel that I can do. But I don't want me to be the heavyweight that everybody talks to, because we need to expand everyone's minds, not just me talking to people who say, wow, that's good. Then it puts me like a bogus guru. I don't want to be there.
Okay, let's start reading then. Narada Pancharatra explains why females can't be Diksha Gurus. This is by this person right here, Orpheus Alexander. He's saying,
Alexander, yeah.
Yes, he's saying Narada Pancharatra explains why females can't be Diksha Gurus, with exceptions. This is a paper by ISKCON India explaining this, but seems people are too lazy to do their homework and just spout feminist rhetoric. Even Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 verse 35 and chapter 18 verse 47 explains that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. Oh well, at least the Indian Yatra refuses to be subservient to females. Good for them. Next paragraph. As for the GBC approving gurus or not, the fact that this is not mentioned is Shastra. What is the fact that this is not mentioned in Shastra or by any previous Acharya is not really an issue in principle. As mentioned in the Manu Samhita, there will always be situations that are not explicitly mentioned in the Vedas. In such a situation, a parishad is to be formed that will then decide what is to be done. What the qualifications of the members of the parishad are given, no females included sorry. My point is that just because some situation is not mentioned in Shastra doesn't mean it is wrong, because the Shastras take some considerations into account and give procedures of how to deal with them.
So
Interesting
here's a
reply.
person. Okay, go ahead. What?
I said he puts it interestingly here.
Yeah, but what he puts interestingly is he's arguing for male gurus, not female gurus, when he should be questioning gurus to begin with.
Yeah.
That he doesn't do. He intelligently goes back and forth talking about, he's like a little 3-year-old boy running around holding onto his member so he doesn't pee on the floor,
Right,
That's why I see it. But you see what I'm saying? Is that he doesn't have
It doesn't have cognitive reasoning and nor any.
he's not dealing with the root issue.
Yeah, is it not?
So I decided to deal with the root issue, and I found, and I recommend it for everyone. If there's a thing, and we distinguish, and I distinguish, each of us is their own highest authority, because each one of us is part and parcel of Krishna. So if you're a part and parcel of Krishna and you are in complete agreement with Prabhupada, what is the bad part? That's perfect, isn't it? If you're self-expressed part and parcel of Krishna that agrees 100% with Srila Prabhupada's Siddhanta, then that's what Krishna consciousness movement is for, right? And that does not make you a guru. That makes you an actual disciple.
Here,
so anyhow, go ahead.
Here he mentions as for the GBC approving gurus or not, the fact that this is not mentioned in Shastra or by any previous acharya is not really an issue in principle. It kind of
this is good. We should go over this a little bit and see what we agree and what we cannot agree.
Okay.
He sounds very reasonable until you start looking at the truth of it.
Yes, yes. Well,
keep going. I like what you're doing.
So it looks like in India, well, let's start with America. Looks like in America, the ISKCON GBC or whatever they are, the managers in ISKCON have approved that females can be Diksha Gurus, right? And the Indian ICC, Indian Community Council in India, which is the managing bureau of ISKCON in India, they have rejected what the GBC has approved.
Exactly. And they've actually said that they withdraw from the GBC until the GBC rectifies that error. Yes. Not in this posting, but in a different one.
Yes, yes. So now on management side, there's two bodies, right? They have the ICC, Indian Community Council, India Bureau, and then the GBC, so-called GBC in America. So there's a disconnect here.
The so-called GBC in America is global.
Yeah, it's global.
It's not just in America, right?
It's global, but it seems if it's global, that means one entity, governing body commission. But in India, it's not. I mean,
I don't think it's all of India. I think it's just South India.
If it's global, then how can the Indian GBC or the Indian Bureau of Council reject the GBC's proposal?
They said why they rejected it. They say that they're withdrawing their membership from the GBC as long as the GBC holds that position.
Okay.
Let's just say there's a big blanket GBC covering the entire globe and under which we're sort of strangling for lack of air. There's a gigantic GBC covering the whole globe. There's an American GBC, European GBC, English GBC, all over the place. There's also GBC Africa, and there's GBC Asia, there's GBC India. Now, in part of that Indian GBC has rebelled against the regular GBC, and they do it not because, I mean, they may personally, just like this guy saying, no, thank you, no female gurus, but although he doesn't give a single reason why not. Why can you have bogus male gurus and not bogus female gurus? I mean,
Right.
it's a big deal.
Right.
But to me, it's obvious that the South Indian guys are not going to accept female gurus because they will lose their money from their congregation.
Hmm. Hmm.
You see, it's not so much ideological as, well, as Lord Buckley one time said grandly, there is some shit I will not eat. If you pardon the expression. But the thing is, I mean, there's some things that you won't accept. And they won't accept the female gurus because it would be disastrous from the Dravidian culture of South India versus, I mean, maybe the New Delhi culture will accept it, or the Bengali culture may accept it. We don't know. But the Dravidian or the South Indian culture doesn't accept it.
No, like nobody would accept it. The Dravidian.
So we have to separate it out, not too simplistically, but separate it out so that we can actually see what's actually going on, you know? They don't want to lose their following.
What did you say, Vinayak Prabhu? You wanted to make a comment. What did you say?
Yeah, I was saying that nobody would accept it, like whether Dravidian or North Indian or anyone, nobody would accept it because in North India also, like, for example, these Sri Sampradaya and other Sampradaya have their presence in North India also. So these ISKCON guys, they have to pose them as a proper Vaishnava Sampradaya. So these guys would openly blaspheme them that they are just manufacturing these things and they are not as bona fide and these things. So
while actually being, you know, managers of ISKCON, quote unquote, meaning they've made a political thing and they're managing it politically, obviously not transcendentally, obviously not spiritually, but politically, they have to work out who is the if you pardon the expression, I say ass-kissing, but can you say hind-end fondling or whatever you want to call it? In America, the pressure would be, and maybe parts of Europe, well, this whole woke thing would be to have black female gurus or something of that sort as the standard. But in other places like India, it won't sail. Now the question is, what would happen in Bangladesh? They've already accepting Durga worships. Will they accept female gurus? They could, they might, but maybe they don't. But you see, they're going by Hindu tradition. They're not going by Prabhupada's instruction anyhow, or we wouldn't be talking about gurus. We'd be talking about Prabhupada. Hey, what a strange thought that would be. We could talk and discuss Prabhupada's ideas, not whether we should have female or male gurus, considering we should not have either of them because there's nobody, we don't need them. We have Prabhupada and we have his books. Why do we need gurus? What are you going to get from a guru? If you say, well, I want to get Krishna consciousness, chant Hare Krishna once, you've got Krishna consciousness. Now, next question, what do you want a guru for? After you've settled that you're already saved, you delivered. And you can't, Kanista Adhikari guru cannot bring another Kanista Adhikari disciple to become an Uttamadhikari. If he could, he'd become an Uttamadhikari himself. Right? So this is the thing what we're fiddling around with or dealing with is that they're trying to deal with a political solution for a guru situation, which should not even exist. That's my view. Now keep going. I want to hear what everyone says. I like the views so far, and I don't want to over-dominate with my own voice.
Vinayak Prabhu, do you want to say anything more, Prabhu?
It'd be nice.
No, Prabhu, like from our point of view that nobody is bona fide to become a guru after Prabhupada. So I think this discussion is not worthy of our discussing.
Yeah. We can even say in a different way. I say Prabhupada is the last Sampradaya Acharya from the golden age of Kali. It seems obvious. Lord Chaitanya created a little mini Sampradaya that ended with Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada, and then it comes to an end there. That's the end of it because Prabhupada fulfilled Lord Chaitanya's intent and Krishna's intent, which was to put all the philosophy into easy to read books. Not philosophy, but the spiritual energy, the Shakti in the easy to read books. He did that. So what do you need a guru for? And if people have in their mind, you have to have a guru, we need it, you don't want to break the Sampradaya, let them explain why you need to keep a guru, why you don't want to so-called break the Sampradaya. He's an Acharya. Buddha's Acharya. Shankaracharya's Acharya. His name even says he's an Acharya. So why do you have to have gurus coming out of them? You just keep the Acharya in the center. That's what Prabhupada said. Keep the Acharya in the center. That means him. But what can he say? He got around a bunch of people and had no intention of keeping the Acharya in the center. They want to keep him on the altar so they can be in the center. Okay, keep going.
Right. Okay.
Let's stay on track.
Yeah,
The
so I
track
want to
is-
bring it back to this point here. As for the GBC approving gurus or not, the fact that this is not mentioned not mentioned in Shastra or by any previous acharya is not really an issue in principle. So here he's saying that the Shastras talk about females cannot be Diksha gurus, and here he's saying that being not talked about in Shastra is not really an issue in principle. This is weird, huh?
It's a little weird. And it's also, in essence, isn't it, off track? Because how can he say it's not really an issue? Because he goes on to say that you can get a committee together and make a condition that Shastra didn't even think of when they had a chance. It sounds like.
Yeah, and then he says, as mentioned, and then he says here, as mentioned in Manu Samhita, there will always be situations that are not explicitly mentioned in the Vedas.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't need to worry about that, do we? We just read Prabhupada's books, chant Hare Krishna using his melodies.
Yeah,
Let them get disciplined into Krishna consciousness as Prabhupada presented it before they start looking to see, like Johnny Appleseed, where they're going to be planting their little apple trees all over the place.
yeah.
You know? Okay, keep going.
Then he says, what are the qualifications of the members of the parishad are given? No females included. Sorry. My point is
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, no females included. Sorry. Yeah, so
He just made a case, right? He made a case that there's things not mentioned in the Shastras. Then he says no females. Why does he say that? They're
Yeah.
not mentioned in the Shastras, so what's the difference?
right.
You know
So
what I
he's
mean? Isn't that a weakness in his argument?
Yeah, it's very weak. He says the Shastras don't talk about it, then you can vote about it. And what if the majority says yes, females can be Diksha gurus? So his opinion or his understanding gets overruled by the majority. Right?
Right. In the parashad, whatever
Yeah.
the parashad is.
Yes. So form a committee, vote on the issue, and if the majority are for female Diksha gurus, then even though Shastra apparently does not say that females can be Diksha gurus or can be voted in Diksha gurus, but if the vote says yes, then they can be. Even though
In the unlikely event that Shastra doesn't say females cannot be gurus,
they vote on it.
Shastra deals with reality. Why would they deal with something that doesn't appear on the scale of reality?
Yeah.
Why would you bring up female gurus anymore? You could bring up donkey gurus or great ape gurus or porcupine gurus. It's not mentioned in the Shastra either. You can't have a porcupine guru. So you can vote though. The parishad
Yeah,
can vote and
you can
vote
vote
in porcupine gurus.
So then
Well, keep going. Keep going.
then I'll conclude here, then we'll go to your statement. My point is,
Just take your time because this guy is, I consider this guy's delusional, but intelligent, educated, and trying to make a point, which I think he fails to make in his own argument. Because
Yeah.
he says the parashad could do it, well, then why can't they make a female guru? That you said, and I agree. Why can't they? Okay, keep going.
my point is that just because some situation is not mentioned in Shastra doesn't automatically mean it is wrong, because the Shastras take some considerations into account and give procedure of how to deal with them.
Now, isn't it interesting? Prabhupada said, you follow in the footsteps of your spiritual master,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You follow in the footsteps. We follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. So why does it doesn't automatically wrong because the Shastras take such considerations and give procedures how to deal with them? No, you don't have to worry about that. You just follow in the footsteps of your spiritual master. Whatever he said, you can do it. And what he didn't say isn't even a topic for conversation just because you studied the Manu Samhita.
Yeah,
Why did you study the Manu Samhita when Prabhupada didn't order everyone to do it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, procedures of how to deal with this. Procedures, I don't see anywhere in the Shastra that I've read where people are voting for. The Kshatriyas are guided by the, Vaishnava Brahmins, They don't vote on stuff. The Brahmins say you do this,
Right. The Kshatriyas vote, all right. They vote with their swords and their bows and arrows.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Yes. Let's form a coalition. You don't agree?
That's right.
I got it. Great. After lunch together, let's fight and kill each other until one of us wins.
Right. That's voting for you.
That's Kshatriyas for you. I've been reading a bit of the history of Europe and everywhere, Rome, Greece, all the Middle East, the Israelis, all of those people all over the Middle East and all over Europe and England and the Vikings. I just bumped into that stuff. They're all busy dominating by killing each other. So they're all basically Kshatriyas by nature, and they're busy killing each other because that's how they prove their point. No pun intended. You see, it's not like they sit down and let's sit down and reason together. They say, you don't agree? Okay, where's your army? Here's our army. We're going to come and kill all of you until you agree. Or if you win, we'll give you all our treasure and we'll be your servant. That's the way the Kshatriyas were in the Vedic culture too. Unfortunately, that's the way they were after the Mughals came, because when the Mughals defended the king then became the vassal of the Mughal emperor. Anyhow, keep going.
Okay, so now let's read the reply written by you, Narayan Prabhu. Here. Is that all right?
Embarrassing. Yeah, sure. I blush. Okay. No.
Rupa Manjari Prabhu, do you want to read? Or should I read? Up to you.
Rupa's good at reading.
Yeah.
I'll read. Nathan Zakheim, only a cheater will consider posing as a Diksha Guru when he himself is only a neophyte, non-Uttama Adhikari, Kanistha Adhikari posing as Guru.
Now, can we pause there? Pause there?
Okay.
I'm trying to handle it.
Yes, so only a cheater will consider posing as a Diksha Guru when he or she himself should have been. He or she himself is only a neophyte, non-Uttama Adhikari, Kanishta Adhikari posing as a Guru. Yes, so that correlates to the Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, where Rupa Goswami is saying that one must not imitate the Uttama Adhikari, and one should know what level he is on. And then Rupa Goswami says, therefore, initiation should be accepted from an Uttama Adhikari devotee.
Yeah. And he says it once to the Kanishta, he said yes once to the Madhyam. Yes. And then he says 3 times with the word, if you put the mathematical symbol of 3 dots in a pyramidical shape, hence, therefore, he says the word therefore, but if it was mathematics, it would be 3 dots, which means it's an irrefutable conclusion, you see? Therefore, accept an Uttama Adhikari. They didn't do well in high school math, I can see.
Try so.
Okay. So have we settled that first paragraph, or that first sentence, or whatever it is?
What did you say?
A cheater will consider posing as Diksha. I didn't put he and she because he cannot. Why? What to speak of she? You know what I mean?
Yes.
There is no she. The he's are there now.
To top things off, where in the history of the Vaishnav Sampradaya has a quote-unquote guru been appointed by a board of directors who were never given authority by Srila Prabhupada to appoint anyone as successor acharya?
Okay.
Take it away, Brahmacharya.
So yes, I mean, the vast body of Prabhupada's spiritual writings, you don't see anywhere Prabhupada talking about voting for any position, as specifically an acharya or a diksha guru. This is actually condemned in Prabhupada's writing, where he gives reference to the Gaudiya Math, where they were appointing acharyas or diksha gurus, and they, many of them, or all of them, fell down. And Prabhupada also talks about if his spiritual master was, wanted someone to be a successor acharya, he would have appointed someone, or he would have written it. He said he talked about so many things, but he never said this person or that person can be a diksha or a successor acharya.
And a sincere, I won't say even disciple, but a sincere person interested in Srila Prabhupada's point of view would immediately say, that's an interesting distinction because he mentions it. Why does Srila Prabhupada mention about Bhaktisiddhanta not picking a successor? It's a big red flag. You have to look for it. Say, wow, this is a very serious topic. Why did Prabhupada bring that up? It's not something that you try to gloss over, much less bury as a thing that you have to teach your disciples to overlook, otherwise they'll reject you. Anyhow, where is that history of the Vaishnava Sampradaya? It's elected is one thing, but they are appointed. Whether they do a vote and then appoint doesn't make much difference.
Yeah.
How can a material, I say they're material because they're running a government mandated corporation, right?
Yes.
How can a government authorized corporation, which has one foot, like Shiva, one foot in the material world, one foot in the spiritual world, how can that organization then appoint a acharya who's supposed to be an uttama adhikari? I mean, it's just like boggles the mind. And I'm hoping that this statement should boggle somebody's mind other than mine.
Okay, Rupa Manjari Prabhu, do you want to say anything, Prabhu, for this number 2?
No, I'll just keep reading.
Okay.
No, you can say, Rupa, if you have something to say on 2, go ahead. I'd like to hear it.
International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Successor Acharya, ABCD, Swami. No?
Yeah. I'll just read.
Okay.
Let's say the second paragraph deals with that other guy's previous statement of the Parashar sort of situation. How does it deal with that? Is that he's saying that, because we have to do our own research about gurus, but I'm saying, let's go back to the beginning from the actual acharya. Where is the question of gurus? Why are you trying to figure out who's a guru when there was no guru planned or mentioned by the founder acharya of ISKCON?
Yeah.
Why are you mentioning something that hasn't ever been a topic that Prabhupada discussed and resolved? Okay, keep going, Rupert.
This is raw criminality, and this Maha Aparad has limited the number of temples established by ISKCON so severely that it has literally cost millions of lives of those killed in wars since the year 2000 that would have been exposed to the salvation of hearing the holy name of Krishna chanted using Srila Prabhupada's Krishna Loka melodies 12 hours per day in the streets of every town, city, and village of this world.
Right.
Go ahead. I don't have anything, so you can make a comment from the chapter.
Yes, because they were so much, trying to control the worldwide movement by stunting it, and then having elected, non-elected people running the show. The movement whoever wants to start an ISKCON temple, or they want to become Krishna conscious, they're not so
They have to get
enthusiastic.
permission from the GBC.
Yeah, and then when they see the history of the Kanishta Adhikari gurus, after 1977 all the way till 2021, all these things don't make any sense for a person who's a genuine disciple or a genuine student, looking at history and comparing it to what Prabhupada has said in his books, letters, conversations. It doesn't add up what they're doing and what Prabhupada actually wanted.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, so I will like to mention that the GBC, maybe it's mentioned later on, but the GBC was not meant to control the temples. So for money and power, they wanted to dominate and control few temples rather than be the servants of the servant of the servant of a large number of temples. Helping the temples, not dominating, controlling them, and making the temples and their worship in their own image.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Right.
This crime can be corrected and rectified, but not until each ISKCON temple is individually incorporated as ISKCON, and the GBC is elected for 3-year terms to serve, not control or dominate, the small newly opening temples of what in 1970 was the quote-unquote Hare Krishna explosion. Small temples were constantly opening, and the GBC was meant to travel to each of the new temples to teach them Sankirtan practices, Swami step dancing, Aditala Mridanga beats, and how to build and decorate altars, temples, how to dress, how to lecture, and all of the other elements that exemplified the quote-unquote Hare Krishna explosion.
Jai. Yeah, this is very nice.
Yeah. Okay, keep going. Yeah, express yourself. I'm going to hear.
Yeah, this is very nice because Krishna consciousness is not very complicated. It's very simple.
That's the point.
Yes.
Keep going.
And then when the individual temples are incorporated by the local devotees, they learn responsibility. They're not they're not given everything on a silver platter. They learn how to engage their natural given talents in Krishna conscious service. And if the GBC is a very nice devotee, he can make this happen very fast.
Very fast.
Temples
within a month or so, you can have a bunch of people look like karmis worshiping with a cloth over a piece of madras cloth over a cardboard box with a photograph of Prabhupada and a photograph of Krishna.
Yeah.
They can turn it into a raging temple where people join by the dozens.
Yeah.
Within a month or two.
Actually,
of opening.
Yeah, when I was thinking about getting a temple set up here in Sacramento, I messaged Vaisheshika and I'm like, we're like 40, 50 people here. Why cannot we have a temple here? And Vaisheshika said, oh, well, there's a ISKCON registered nonprofit there. Why don't you go work with them? I'm like, I don't want to work with them. I want to establish something with the local devotees who I'm working with. They're already working there. They already have their own manpower and people, and why should I go stick my nose there? Why they're trying to concentrate all the devotees in one location, and it does not work. That's one of the reasons why I was frustrated. Now I can see why. Because
well, what you're saying, I was frustrated, and now I can see why, is the exact response I would like everyone reading this posting to obtain. I don't care about myself in the posting. Forget that I don't consider myself present in the posting. I'm only dealing with the ideas and the concepts and the issues of everyone's complaining about ISKCON, no matter where they are. Even if it's a successful temple, they're complaining. Everyone's complaining.
Very well.
Said, okay, if you want to understand why you're complaining, read this posting.
Yeah.
And you'll see every reason why you are complaining. Plus, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, even here in Sacramento, because I'm in Sacramento, I can use it as an example. Here we have
Exactly.
30 or 50 devotees, but none of them get along together. You know, all they have, so-called initiated gurus, they have a discrepancy, and then if they can't get along and they're forced to get along, it doesn't work, right? I mean,
Correct.
and
Well, okay. That's right. It's a I'm talking as though you're starting with just raw people and they join, and you're talking that they're already initiated.
yeah,
They could keep their initiated name. Why not? But
right.
then they consider that name pertains to their being accepted by Prabhupada without their guru. The guru
Yeah.
gave them the name because he's a what is it called? I keep forgetting.
Officiating.
What is it? The officiating acharya, right?
Yes.
So he's an officiate. He's not an acharya. He's an officiating acharya, and he acts in behalf of the acharya, who happens to be Prabhupada. And therefore, keep your initiated name, keep the sacred fire. And the guru says you can do penances for each person you've initiated to be able to clear yourself from falling down after having accepted all the drunkenness, dope use, illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, and whatnot that they've done. And it's now in you, and you have to suffer for it instead of him. Otherwise, you idiot, why do you think he took initiation? To keep his karma, or did he want to get rid of it?
Yeah.
In you stupid sucker.
There was this guru that came to Sacramento. I had a personal meeting with him, Bir Krishna, and I told him, hey, this is what's going on here in Sacramento. And he said, Ronald, why don't you take the lead and help make the temple? I'm like, excuse me, I'm not going to get in the middle of this whole mess that they have created and try to fix things. I was like, let them deal with it. And it's not my problem to I go there and they all jump on me.
Well, I mean, if somebody took this posting that you're reading as gospel or as a warning, like like Moses holding holding the tabernacle, the 10 Commandments, and smashing them to the ground. That's sort of what this posting is supposed to do.
Yeah.
If people say, wait, is this true? Wake up call. Let me go to the internet. Let me read about direction of management. Let me read about GBC. Let me read about what Prabhupada actually wanted.
Yeah.
Oh my God, everything in that short little all caps posting is true. I mean, my goal is that it be true. If you can find something that's not true, that's my bad. But it's intended to be all true. So if they read it and says true, now they come to Ramachandra and say, Ramachandra, I've already been initiated, etc. But I'm sick of the bullshit. What are we going to do? What can we do?
Right.
Then you can open a temple.
Right.
And he said, well, what about my initiated name? I took it from my Sheshika or from somebody else. Yeah, that's fine. Because you didn't. It's a name that it's your Krishna conscious name. And assuming he didn't call you poo-poo head in Sanskrit, there's no reason to change it.
Right.
Just keep it because the name is transcendental, even if the person who gave it to you wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I've been here since 2000. When was it? 2008 or something, Sacramento, and coming to this realization and seeing what happened or what's happening. It's a disaster because the GBC, Vaisheshika or Badri Narayan, whoever it may be, they hardly take any interest in the local congregation. They have their own agendas. They don't actually are interested. And a couple of devotees, me, Shravan, and other devotees, we talked about, hey, why not let's distribute the original books? And there, we said, hey, the Prabhupada's pictures is missing, the Parampara is missing. Many things are wrong with this book. And the temple president was like, oh, the majority of the people, they want the so-called edited books. So,
how does he know?
Yeah. So
who told him that? oh, you're giving me an original book? No, I don't like it. That's a picture of Prabhupada. I want an edited book. I mean, who says that?
So
The reason they say that, I think, is because it's easier to sell them when you're doing book distribution.
so
It's not
so
really
that
that
is,
people want it. It's that it's easier for the seller to sell.
yeah. And I suggested to them have ISKCON and meetings, but you know, they don't do it with the public. They just do it amongst themselves, you know. So
It doesn't matter. So what happens is, okay, now we've discussed that. You mentioned your position. You mentioned their position.
right.
Now here comes the statement, which you're reading. If people read that statement, supposing that's the only thing they read, and then they decide to do their own rummaging into the database to find out what is the truth, whether this guy just whistling Dixie, and what is it? Now, suppose you get a bunch of people say, I'm ready to give my spiritual name to Prabhupada and to ISKCON, not to Vaisheshika or somebody else. Can we make a temple that practices this?
Jai. Yes.
Now, do you think that by reading this one statement, I mean, it's not that special, but I'm just saying this is a clear statement. Is anyone reading that statement and acting on it going to say that couldn't be true? Or is that bogus? Or why should I should ask my guru about it or something like that?
I mean,
Is it lead to free thinking?
oh, definitely. You know, before coming to this understanding that things we have discussed over the year, you know, I was actually very, very much frustrated with what was going on and how things were going on. And I can see our local devotees here are very, very frustrated because, you know, of these points we are discussing, that this point here, no centrally controlled ISKCON corporation, you know, they're being, you know, centrally controlled, and none of them.
So why not take this posting all by itself, print it out, print it out on your printer on a piece of paper with the statements with or without the statements that preceded it from the other person, and hand them out to people and say, here's a special site where you can put your vote. You like, you don't like.
Jai.
You know what I mean? Just hand it out to all the people that you think are candidates. And I'll just keep on going. Maybe you'll find out you don't like the rest of it.
Maybe they'll watch the video. Who knows?
We need to be able to present people with what I hope to see to be incontrovertible truth, that unless they're stupid or completely blind, they'll look at it and say, wow, could this actually be true? Could the problems that we're facing and we're frustrated with here in Sacramento trace back to 1970 GBC projection? Could that be it? And by that time, we'll have the website going so that they can go to and say, holy moly, didn't realize what was going on. Like that. So keep going.
Okay, I'll read. No centrally controlled ISKCON corporation, no non-elected GBCs, and as a natural result, no, quote, appointed normal gurus who are themselves senior god brothers, not Uttamadakari acharyas.
That's nominal, but it means in name only. Nom, it means.
Oh, nominal, yeah. Nominal guru.
Nominal, yeah. Nominal means in name only.
Yeah.
Hari Nam means name, nominal means name.
Yeah, all these things, which is being done right here. Total opposite is being done. Yeah.
Okay, are there others on this call that would like to comment on?
That's a good point. Yeah. Vinayak Prabhu. I mean,
not a comment particularly on this.
I mean, you said you wanted to help start a temple. So, if you want to start a temple, then what's the difficulty? If you have the money, you have the manpower, you have the organization, you should be able to.
Like difficulty is actually manpower. Like if we have like at least 6 devotees or 5 or 6 devotees, then we can start. But just 1 or 2 persons, it's not intelligent to start a temple. Like,
well, you can, but it means you have to do it like home worship, inviting others in.
Yeah, it still can be an ISKCON, project for the
It
future.
really means, is your door open or your door shut? If
Right.
it's you and your roommate, it says, well, what the heck are we doing? We're just chewing the chewed. We're all taking each other's wash. But we're just doing what we normally do, and it's taking extra time and whatever. But if you could say on Wednesday, people come, and on Sunday, come for a rudimentary feast.
Chai.
Two people can do it. And you'd be surprised if you have room in the space for your heart, or even if you don't, they could be in an apartment down the street. If whatever you have, they can then form a community. Even if it's two starting, make it three. Three, make it five. Five, make it eight. Eight, make it 13. You see?
Okay.
So it's not that you have to have a big group of people. That's part of the illusion of the ISKCON style, is you get the people, then you put a net over their heads and become captives.
Right.
Okay, let's keep going.
The Hare Krishna mantra, who are the Shaktaves avatars for the golden age of Kali, remove the necessity of having a living guru, since the end result of having a living guru is liberation, and the Hare Krishna mantra, by the grace of the Yuga avatar Lord Chaitanya, afterwards the guarantee. Awards. Oh, sorry. Yes, awards. By the grace of the Yuga avatar Lord Chaitanya, awards the guarantee of going back to home, back to Godhead, at the very beginning of ISKCON membership. So, as an end product, as promised by all mundane religions. Right.
An end product. It's at the beginning. This is the real thing that just blew me up a month or two ago. Your deliverance is where you start, whereas all religions, it's at the end. And that's why the Hindus are clinging to, and they can't even begin to, nobody, I'm not saying Hindu, I'm saying Muslims, Jews, Christians, everybody, they all assume that you practice, and then in the end, when you die, you die and go to heaven. But we're saying you do that at the beginning. The first time you utter the holy name of Krishna, Radharani is satisfied at that point. And you may say, well, how many lives will it take to go back to Godhead after I've uttered the holy name of Krishna or heard it once? And the answer is it doesn't matter, because in Krishna Loka, there is no time. Therefore, it's already happened. In the material world, as long as you're attached to your material life and your material body, sort that out, dude, sort that out. And then when you have reduced yourself down to being the jiva, then you either want to stay here to preach or go back to Godhead and play with gopis or play with the cows and calves.
Okay.
So Rupa can read again?
Sure.
Yeah. The guidance of the Uttama Adhikari Acharya can be obtained, by reading the books bequeathed to us by the final Uttama Adhikari for the balance of the golden age of Kali, Srila Prabhupada. Implement all of the above conditions, and all present complaints against ISKCON will vanish almost immediately.
Why don't we just deal one paragraph at a time?
Sure. Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yes, that's better.
Go ahead, Ramachandra.
Yeah, the guidance of the Uttamadakari Acharya can be obtained by reading the books bequeathed. What is it?
Bequeathed.
Bequeathed.
Bequeathed means like you leave it to somebody in your will.
Okay. The books bequeathed to us by the final Uttamadakari for the balance of the golden age of Kali. So, I mean, the direction of management and these things, they will, I mean, if they aren't so much intelligent, it would probably won't make sense to them. At least, they would need some understanding regarding what it is.
Why does ISKCON with their bogus gurus still read Prabhupada's books? Why don't all those guys say, make my books, and then Prabhupada's books are yesterday's books? It's because they have potency, right?
Yes.
So they're capitalizing on Prabhupada's preaching to give them a reflected power.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Like, some devotees in Silicon Valley, they're distributing Prabhupada's books and they're distributing edited books, and they're saying, oh, so nice, you guys are distributing. I mean, it is nice, but it would have been much better if they were distributing original, unedited books.
Yeah, well, nobody's come up with an argument that I've heard, and I've been involved in publishing the books, and
Right.
I've warned against changing the books back in the 1990s at BBT meetings.
Right.
That what you're doing is you're creating a nightmare for people in school.
Yes.
How can they all read from the book if the books are all different?
Yes.
So no, you have to get every semester you have to get a new set of books. Because then they'll all be the same from that printing. You can't do that. You have to make a standardized book. They were not even thinking of school. Or if they were thinking they didn't want the books to be read in school and accepted in school. Because then they would call for a bigger management, meaning more temples that
Right.
the GBC isn't willing to manage, that the GBC can't make money or power off of. In other words, more independence would come out of university school classes. And they wanted to prevent that. Otherwise, what reason could they have? I argued it in front of all the GBC trustees, and they just were blank. They couldn't, well, this is the way we do it, and that's the end of it,
Yeah. I mean, Prabhupada's books and letters, conversations, all these things are there for the devotees, for them to utilize and make the right choice. Is it going to be Prabhupada
Well,
or?
it's not even the right choice, it's the only choice.
Yeah, that is the only choice. Exactly.
Yeah, so if they're presented, if you have, suppose you go to medical school and you're trained up very nicely in classical medical practice, then you go to do your internship at a hospital and they're doing something else. So why are you doing something else? That's not the way you're supposed to do it. Well, who are you to say? I just got my MD from such and such school and I got straight A's in every class, and they told us not to do it the way you're doing it. They said, well, this is the way we do it. Well, then you're doing it wrong, and that becomes a clash that has to be resolved by the truth, hopefully predominating, not the force of illusion dominating the truth. Does that make sense?
Yes, let me go back to the screen.
Yeah, I lost.
Okay, there we go. We're there now. I mean, if we really look at it, we're really fortunate right now, specifically people who are in this Kali Yuga. Prabhupada appeared, he gave all the books, letters, conversations, writings, everything is recorded. There's no other acharya that we have this form of writing books, conversations, letters. There's none of them, so.
Yeah, so essentially the timing,
Yes.
except for 1970, the timing has been exquisite. Coming from Lord Chaitanya down through Bhaktisiddhanta to Prabhupada to America. Well, unfortunately, it coagulated in America.
Yeah.
Like one of the bogus COVID shots that gives you blood clotting. It coagulated because they wanted control.
Yeah. Okay. Rupert, do you want to end it off, Prabhu?
Sure. Implement all
Hello?
of the above conditions and all present complaints.
Okay, 1 second. Pause for a moment.
Okay, 1 second, Rupert. Let me see what's going on with Narayan Prabhu. Narayan Prabhu, what's going on? Can you unmute yourself? Something happened? We don't want to continue without you.
Can you wait for 1 second?
Sure.
Because I can't hear anything.
All right, yeah. No problem. All right. Let me just check if we have any comments or feedback online.
It'll take me just another less than a minute.
Okay, in the meantime, I'd like to read some of the comments from our YouTube viewers on YouTube. Okay, let's see what Prabhu is saying.
Hello?
Yes. Okay, can you hear us? Not yet. Okay. Let me read the comments in the meantime.
Okay, 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm back on track. My
All right.
earphone batteries die
Sure,
early
sure.
when they're connected with my cell phone.
No worries. Okay, let me read some comments from our viewers online. So, let me
Is
see.
that about this particular posting?
Yeah, this is what we're discussing. They're commenting about that.
Wonderful. That's what we
So,
want.
so we have a devotee in New York, Moses Singleton. He says, you can see the comments on the screen. He's saying, Haribol, peace and blessings, and Om. There should be no females giving diksha in ISKCON at all. There's so many reasons why I don't associate with ISKCON and the nonsense it has become. Then he says, yes, in ISKCON, there's no guru that can do anything for me that Srila Prabhupada has already done 100%. Well, it's sad that most devotees don't take the time to do the needful and research and find out what's really going on within ISKCON so that appropriate actions can be taken. This movement is meant to from the ground up, not from the top down. Staying informed is necessary in order to move forward fearlessly and correctly. So he's saying that the movement is supposed to be not from top up, from ground up. I'm thankful that Sri Krishna and Srila Prabhupada has allowed me to stay informed.
He's getting an A on each thing he's saying.
Yes.
He'll get an A plus on his grade sheet.
Yes, so then he says, I'm thankful that Sri Krishna and Srila Prabhupada has allowed me to stay informed, and I also have contacts everywhere that also add me to the information to move forward in the correct fashion. Due to that fact, I don't associate with ISKCON directly. Worship Krishna at home and chant and watch the nonsense that is ISKCON from a distance.
You know what you can say, if you want to respond to him yourself, is that you are associating with ISKCON
because it's
directly.
Srila Prabhupada, yes.
What you're doing is ISKCON directly. There's that quote about Prabhupada talking to Jamuna. If there's two people together, that is devotee association. That is Krishna conscious association. Anyhow,
okay, let's get going, and then
there's more lines to be read, right?
Yes, we're going to end it. And there's some lines. Let's see, where is it?
Well, it's 9:21.
No, I'm saying we can end that document and then discuss about other issues. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, where is it? 1 second, Prabhu. Close the screen. Moses Singleton, Prabhu, thank you very much for sharing. Keep on sharing, Prabhu.
Do you think he's been following this particular class?
Maybe he can say yes or no if he's been reading with us on this document that we're reading here.
This particular one.
Yes.
Because this one should answer and satisfy his issues and concerns.
Yeah.
This is from now on, this is what I think all of us, whatever we write, we should write in such a way as to satisfy the genuine concerns of people to find Prabhupada as the source of ISKCON. Not to criticize ISKCON or condemn ISKCON, but to say ISKCON has been kidnapped.
Right.
Let's return ISKCON. We don't even have to pay ransom. We just have to grab a hold of the kidnappers by the collar and drag them out.
Okay, so let's read the last paragraph. Okay, implement all of the above conditions and all present complaints against ISKCON will vanish almost immediately, as Srila Prabhupada and his massive array of books and other
Array
Vani,
means assortment.
yes, array of books and other Vani will be once again restored as the final Sampradaya Acharya for the golden age of Kali, and millions of the presently afflicted human population will be empowered by Lord Krishna to deliver him in the form of the Hare Krishna mantra. Try it. You might like it. Try.
Yeah, because it takes away. It's like people are sitting in the emergency room of the hospital
Yeah.
with knives and hat pins stuck in their backs,
Yeah.
complaining of the pain. So
I mean,
take out the stabbing parts and try it. You might like it. You won't have pain anymore. You'll have nothing but satisfaction.
yeah, it's not so bad when you think about it. I mean, they're distributing Prabhupada's books, right? But they have to go to the original books. You know, they're chanting Hare Krishna, but they have to only sing Prabhupada's Hare Krishna tunes and Prabhupada's Mridanga beats. You know, they have some sort of, you know, a GBC, which is not actually what Prabhupada wanted, but it can be fixed. All these things can be fixed immediately.
Yeah, if we get a groundswell from the people saying, why aren't you giving us the real ISKCON? Why are you supporting that criminal action in 1970 of going directly against Srila Prabhupada as though we were a different religion?
Oh.
It's like supposing Prabhupada comes to America and they say, you can say this, you can say that, you can do this, you can do that, but you can't do that.
Okay.
But I'm the Acharya, I get to say what I like. Nope, everything except that, meaning GBC.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Moses Singleton Prabhu said he was watching when we were discussing the paper. So that's why he made the comments. Okay,
we thank you. Please forgive us because of the hour.
Yeah. It's 9, 10, 11, 12. It's about 12:25 in New York, if that is where he is. I'm not really sure. I think he's in New York. Okay. Vinayak Prabhu, anything you want to share, Prabhu? You've been listening, and you're in.
And Mohit made a comment just a minute ago.
Okay, I think they can't. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Allow participant. Okay, now you guys can unmute yourself. Prabhu, sorry, I had some questionable people there, so I had to.
Haribol, what happened? We were just waiting for you to unmute. Haribol, Jai. Hare Krishna. Yes, it's me, Haribol.
Oh,
Haribol, Mohit, Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All right, brother.
How are you, Mahaprabhu?
My request,
thank you so much.
Is remember who you are and remember what you are not.
Haribol, Jai.
Who you are, what you're not.
Okay.
Vinayak Prabhu wants to say something, I guess. He was waiting for more than 5-10 minutes, I guess.
Okay, Vinayak, you can unmute yourself, Prabhu. Oh, mic is off. Can't unmute. Okay. Yeah, we had someone join that I thought might be a problem, so I took the option away for them to kind of jump in. So, okay.
True.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, bro. When you were saying that these things are happening, it's happening all over the world. These ISKCON guys are doing it, right? So that's why devotees don't come. But those who have got direct touch with Prabhupada, those who have read Prabhupada books, those who are chanting very quality chanting, they don't need such temples or they don't need such associations. That's the real
Yeah, but
point.
what
Yeah.
if the principal temples were operating under the principle of that little statement that we just read?
Yeah, temples are nice. I mean, Prabhupada wanted temples so that people can come, they can see the deities, they can see the devotees, they can see the practice going on. So it's not that,
It's not our business to reject ISKCON.
yeah,
It's our business to rescue ISKCON.
yes.
But Haribol, they get a benefit
We
of doubt,
shouldn't
right?
think, oh, ISKCON belongs to them. ISKCON does
I
not
mean-
belong to them. ISKCON belongs to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, yeah,
It
ISKCON.
belongs to
Exactly.
Krishna.
So
Yeah.
So if we reject ISKCON,
the
then we're
point
just
here.
as bad as they are.
Yes,
Okay.
Mohit Prabhu, you want to say something? Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah,
said-
yeah, bro. So what has happened is like we get attached to the deities, right? We get
Yes.
attached to the temple, we attach to the darshans, Mangla Aartis and Darshan Aartis, right? So now they are in a power, right? They think that of course you are attached and you will come back, right? So we can do anything, whatever you want to do. We will do whatever we want to do. It's the culture, it's the corporation, it's the knowledge. We are giving you the real knowledge. You
And
just
that is called, go ahead.
I mean, in that case, then we are defeated, right? Because we are attached to the temple, and then such things happen. But
No, there's
No. We are supposed to do that, but with Prabhupada at the center, not hanging on the wall or
Yes.
on the altar.
Yeah,
We're supposed to do exactly what you just described. It's beautiful. That's what I joined when I came into the ISKCON temple, became surrendered to Prabhupada. That's what we did. Exactly what you said. And it was wonderful. Where it stopped being wonderful is you start putting some other guy there instead of Prabhupada. That should not be hard to figure.
but I guess here Akshay Patra is changing it a lot. I mean, people have come to them and they're changing it, right? It's changing at the senior level. I'm happy. I went yesterday, and day before yesterday went, and they're changing it. Yeah,
What are they
I'm happy with
changing?
I mean,
What are they
they're working towards books of Prabhupada. There were several unoriginal books which were distributed. Now original books are distributed. I mean, they are strongly coming to the point whatever has happened.
Well,
And they changing
they
the
means, doesn't mean
management. Yeah.
ISKCON. They are not ISKCON. They are simply people taking advantage of ISKCON's weakened governance. If
Exactly.
ISKCON
Yeah,
were
yeah.
managed the way Prabhupada wanted, they would not be able to do that.
You can say like that also, yeah, bro. But bro,
Yeah.
I mean,
So we have
for
to become
mental-
strengthy. We have to have power to say they are not the good guys, and they, being the bad guys, can't win. We need to take away the basis for their mistaken actions, and the only way we can do that is for people to come to the realization that we can have the real ISKCON back again.
But bro,
Real temples, real deities, everything real again.
don't you think, bro, for getting the temple, I mean, donations and getting a huge temple made, I mean, that's okay. That corporatism is okay.
Everything is
But
okay
yeah.
if it's done. That little paragraph, that little paper I wrote, all caps there. If everything is done like that, then you can have a temple as big as a city and it'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what we need to do. If we simply sit there wounded and crying about accusing ISKCON of this and that, we will not ever improve the world. We're not trying to improve ISKCON. We're trying to use ISKCON as a chariot, like Arjuna's chariot at the Battle of Kurukshetra. ISKCON is a chariot, not a final destination for someone's big hind end.
Got it. Yeah.
You see, ISKCON is a vehicle for delivering the world. And if we have in India, if we had 2 million temples in India, then we wouldn't have the problems of this temple's doing this, that temple's doing that. Not all temples will be equally good, but if that's the case, then pick the good ones that are following Prabhupada. Does that work for you?
Yes, Haribol. Yeah, of course, bro. Yeah.
In other words, we have to give
Vinayak
up our
bro, please go ahead.
disappointment, our bitterness, our disgust, and our rejection. We cannot reject ISKCON because Prabhupada said, ISKCON is my body. Well, I don't know what ISKCON is doing. ISKCON is not doing. People are doing, calling it ISKCON. But if we say ISKCON is what we say it is, they can say what they say it is, and then people can choose. Which ones do we want? Do people want Prabhupada's ISKCON, or do people want these guys' ISKCON? Eventually, even if they keep some territory, if we opened 200 new temples done the proper way, it would not take long for people to want to go to those temples instead of the other ones. Unless their whole thing is money and power, in which case they can go and call it something else and just make them just call it the Money and Power Temple and leave it at that. Is that okay, Mohit?
Yeah, Prabhu. Got it. Yeah, of course.
Good.
I
Okay,
don't
Vinayak wanted to
I
say
will go
something.
so far as to say that criticizing ISKCON is a form of blasphemy.
Exactly.
Because Prabhupada said ISKCON is my body. And it's perfectly understandable and to a certain degree forgivable if you've lost ISKCON because you think ISKCON is the people running ISKCON. But ISKCON is Prabhupada's body being commandeered by people that should never be doing that.
Exactly. It's about the people. It's not about the philosophy. It's Prabhupada
Right.
is the body.
It's not the
Prabhupada is
name.
everything. But
The
it's not the
philosophy
name,
is
but
Prabhupada. There's no other philosophy.
just refer to your books and get back. Run the temple
Prabhupada's
properly.
original books are the philosophy. The temples, the deities are Prabhupada. Everything that's in an ISKCON temple is basically created and maintained and installed by Srila Prabhupada in Krishna's direct presence.
Got it. Yeah.
So we cannot criticize ISKCON. But
Yeah,
we can say ISKCON has been taken over. It's like a beautiful boat, a ship, and pirates take it over. Oh, that's a bad ship. It's an ugly ship. I don't like the ship. Let's sink the ship. No, let's get the pirates off the ship and run the ship the way the ship creator, ship master intended it to be run.
Yes.
And we'll have a glorious ship called ISKCON instead of a hated thing called ISKCON. Does that make sense? It's work. We have to, I too. I've had so many bad experiences. I've tried to keep them separated from ISKCON. My bad experience I know is people, not ISKCON.
It's okay, Prabhu. If Prabhupada's deity is there, they're worshipping Prabhupada's deity, and Krishna Balaram is there, what do we need?
But Prabhupada needs to be in the center. Prabhupada said, keep the Acharya in the center. They don't do that. Prabhupada is the excuse or the excuse maker for them. In the name of Prabhupada, we're doing what we're doing. No, you must do what Prabhupada wanted done in the name of Prabhupada. Then you will be doing what Prabhupada wanted. You can't just do any damn thing and say, because I'm in charge, Prabhupada is authorized. There's no reason to, it's not even school child logic. Oh, the teacher authorized, therefore I can do anything. No, that's not like that. The teacher said A plus B equals C. I say something else and said, why do you say that? Okay, so I'm in Mrs. So-and-so's class, and Mrs. So-and said A plus B equals C, but I'm saying something else, but I'm still in her class, therefore what I say is correct. That's what the GBC, that's what the ISKCON gurus and GBC are doing. They're claiming to be correct on the name of Prabhupada, but not on the instructions and orders of Srila Prabhupada.
True, I wanted to discuss about this also.
It will take you a little bit of time, but not much time, to come to that solid conclusion. And when you do, you'll feel good about yourself, and you'll also feel alone because you'll be separated from all the people that are complaining about ISKCON.
Yeah. So I wanted to discuss about Ritvik theory also. I mean, this Ritvik is made, word is made by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. That we can talk about, right? Between the Ritvik and this. The difference between Ritvik and...
Ritvik is a word that was introduced by Tamal Krishna, who poisoned Prabhupada. I would recommend using Rupa, what is it again?
Officiating acharyas.
Instead of Ritvik, they should be called initiating acharyas.
No, officiating acharyas.
Oh, I'm sorry, officiating acharyas. So
Okay,
officiating acharya means that they are authorized by the acharya, but they're officiating in his behalf. Ritvik is something that was, the Muslims, Ritvik is a very popular first name for Muslim boys.
Okay.
You can look it up online.
Got it, bro.
You'll see that. Are you okay?
Yeah, bro. Just a
A
bit
little
cold.
indigestion, perhaps? What?
Just a bit of cold and sneezing. It's too
Oh.
cold here. I mean, India is in zero temperature now.
Oh, no, it's not possible. India is a very hot place. Very warm. Very warm. Very big temperature.
Very,
So,
very hot,
When
very warm.
you're saying zero, what are you saying in Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Celsius where
So-
I'm living. Yeah.
So 0 Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, I think.
You can say this that people are very warm, welcoming. Yeah, Indian people are very warm, welcoming, very helpful. This you can say.
Yeah. And in Jaipur,
Yeah.
they have so many nice wool coats you can wear for the cold weather. Rajasthani style. This is good.
Yeah, Rivu. Vinayak
So
Prabhu had some
of that
questions.
short little thing that we were reading, is there any part of it that you thought was not doing the job yet?
It's point blank on target, bro.
Huh?
It's point blank on target. Nothing else can be added in that.
You thought it was impeccable. It was good. First class?
It's superb. Yeah.
Okay.
It was superb. I
why
was
not-
reading it.
Why not take it and print it out and distribute it to people?
Of course, bro, you can do it. Yeah.
You can do that, right?
It, of course. And
Make
most
them-
of the
make
devotees,
50,
those who are here,
100.
they can post it on Facebook. Yeah. Exactly.
They can post on Facebook if you want, or you can hand it
Yeah,
out
yeah.
on a sheet of paper.
They should for those who are not in influence of these ISKCON corporates, if they think that this is the right thing, they can just post it. I mean, they can read it and post it.
They can read and post it, but what I'm thinking is that if Ramachandra sends you an email, if you print it and hand it to somebody, that will have a very strong impact, or send it also to their email. But you don't want it to get mixed in with a bunch of other ideas. You want it to be individual.
Narnaran Prabhu, when did you came to know about this thing that during those 1977, when did you came to know about that these people are not appointed by Prabhupada to become successors? So
Where was it ever in 1977? Can you bring up one document that says that they're supposed to be successors?
yeah, but in those times, whatever they said, everyone in ISKCON believed. So how
Oh,
did
did
you?
Prabhupada say? Did Prabhupada ever say?
Mm,
Did Prabhupada sign a document saying these are my initiating successors?
so in those times, did what was the situation in ISKCON during the disappearance of Prabhupada when new leaders were coming up?
No new leaders were coming up. These are old guys, people my age.
Hmm.
Everybody knew everything from the beginning. I mean, Bhavananda joined the temple in 1969. And Gopal Krishna joined the temple either 1967 or 68. Satsarup joined in 1966. Kirtanananda joined in 1965. I mean, it's not like these were new people coming up.
Hmm.
They were already senior devotees.
Yeah, but when they when after the disappearance, when they made themselves gurus. So how did everyone got to know later, like yourself?
How did what?
When these people became gurus after
Yeah.
Prabhupada
Oh,
self-proclaimed, so how did you came to know that these are not actually bona fide and Prabhupada never said them like to become a
because
guru?
I mean, back then and anytime, and hopefully now, and even more hopefully in the future, if you want to know what Prabhupada wants, read what he said about what he wants. Don't make up your own speculation what he might want. Where did Prabhupada ever say? But do you want me to tell you something confidentially, Prabhu? Prabhupada wanted, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, there were 11 zones of GBC zones. They were transparently and conspiratorially amongst each other planning that after Prabhupada left or entered Samadhi, whichever you prefer to say, that they would then become the gurus, successor gurus of each one with a guru zone in the world. That is sort of what the Gaudiya Math did, and it ended in disaster. My conclusion is, based on Srila Prabhupada's actions, he knew that, of course he knew that's what they wanted to do. He wasn't, it always amazes me that people think that Prabhupada was easy to trick or fool. He wasn't, he was impossible to trick or fool. But he could pretend to be tricked or fooled, because if he got what he wanted, he doesn't care what other people think about what happened, right? Why should Prabhupada care about what happened if he got what he wanted? But it's the best use of a bad bargain. He didn't want them to become gurus, but in the end, he gathered them together. Tamal Krishna introduced the concept of Ritvik. Prabhupada used officiating acharya instead. Tamal rejected that. And I think Narayan Maharaj came up with that because Narayan Maharaj, in his own autobiography, used the word Ritvik, that he was the Ritvik that initiated Prabhupada. He do sannyas. And then he claims that, the pompous ass, he complained, he then claims that he's senior to Prabhupada because the sannyas initiation is the real initiation. Therefore, he supersedes his initiation by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And by becoming the Ritvik of, and he took sannyas 7 years before Prabhupada did, therefore he's senior to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada should treat him, even though he's 25 years younger than Prabhupada, he should treat him as his senior godbrother. That's the way Narayan Maharaj's crazed and deranged mind worked. So anyhow, back to the topic. So Ritvik came up, Prabhupada said officiating acharya, Tamal said in the conversation in that same July 9th, now, is that Ritvik? Is that the same thing as Ritvik? And Prabhupada said yes. So Tamal from that point on did not use Prabhupada's choice of terms. He used the word Ritvik, which I'm quite certain was Narayan Maharaj's choice of terms. Now, what about officiating acharyas? How long would they be able to officiate? If they were acting in behalf of Prabhupada, they could only act as long as Srila Prabhupada was present. When he entered Samadhi, their job is done. They're finished. No more officiating acharyas. So, what did Prabhupada want? And what I'm saying may astonish you. Prabhupada wanted them to become, and I emphasize the word that begins with a B, that Prabhupada wanted them to become bogus gurus. He wanted them to. Not because he wanted bogus gurus, because it was better than the alternative, which is if they all became gurus of their zones, ISKCON would today be nothing. It would be completely destroyed. It would not be unified. Even the non-elected GBC creating a global ISKCON has saved it from destruction in some ways. Now if we have the blessing of knowledge coming from our League for 10K, and that paper that we just studied tonight, with those things in hand, and ones to follow and more to follow up to that, but that one by itself is enough to change the history of the world, quite frankly, because it states the truth. So what did Prabhupada want? He knew they were going to declare themselves gurus, so he sent them to Sridhar Maharaj, his godbrother, to learn how to be quote unquote Rithviks or officiating acharyas. After Prabhupada entered Samadhi, they went to Sridhar and said Prabhupada wanted us to be Diksha gurus, not officiating acharyas or Rithviks. Sridhar couldn't believe his ears. He said, Srila Prabhupada could not possibly have done that. He wasn't stupid, was he? He says to himself. Why would he do that? But they finally convinced him that he did. So then Sridhar gave them all sorts of instructions how to be successor gurus, meaning like the Gaudiya Math. You steal a temple, run it yourself, and then declare yourself guru. Well, there were 11 of them, and they were all trained up more or less by Sridhar to be gurus. What was the benefit? They didn't split the movement into 11 pieces, which would then have split into 100 pieces, then into 200 pieces, until everybody was fighting over one little temple here or there, the way the Gaudiya Math did. If you know the history of the Gaudiya Math, that's what they did. They split it, they did so many temples, they split it all up, and each one wanted one to become the master, the guru of his own temple. That's all the reason they took initiation for, so they could eventually get the temple that would be their property. Well, that's not spiritual, that's not transcendental, that's not even in our Sampradaya slightly, but that's what they wanted. And the ISKCON devotees that wanted to be gurus studied the Gaudiya Math, and what they did, they wanted to do the same thing. They wanted to seize parts of the movement for themselves. Prabhupada defeated them by letting them go ahead and become what he obviously didn't want them to be, but was reconciled that they had to be for the first parts of ISKCON, to become Diksha gurus. Regular gurus is what they would call it. So they did. They became regular gurus and offered initiation and whatnot as a unified group, not as split up into 11 zones. Then after a year or two, they started falling down like crazy. Why? Part of it is the profit, adoration, and distinction of being a guru. The other is you're taking on people's karma. I know one guy that was in the third or fourth generation of gurus in ISKCON in Los Angeles. He took on a whole bunch of homosexual disciples. He ended up blooping and becoming a homosexual himself. Why? I mean, does it take Einstein? Homosexual disciples meant that he took on the karma of homosexuals and thereby became a homosexual because he took on their life. What is your karma? I mean, stop to think of it. Suppose let's not go back for 100 million lifetimes. Let's go back 10 lifetimes. Every birth led to your next birth. That birth led to the next. That birth led to the next. To repeat that enough, you've had 10 births. What you have in the birth that you have right now, what you have in the birth you've just taken in this lifetime, is all the accumulated karma from those other births that you didn't resolve. What you did resolve gets taken away through spiritual life or renunciation or some sort of practice. You get rid of the karma of your previous lives, but you're still stuck with tons and tons and tons of karma of previous lives. When you were a black man, when you were a Chinese man, when you were an Arab, when you were a demigod, when you were a demon, all those things, those previous births are now ending in you. Whoever you is means anybody, even an ant had previous births. And so do dogs and cats, everything. Everything has previous lives. So when you get to be a human being, think of how many previous lives you have, including when you were a dog or a cat or a cow or a tiger or a donkey. So do you see the logic there? So Srila Prabhupada cleaned up the destruction of ISKCON that would have inevitably taken place had they followed the example of Sridhar Maharaj and the Gaudiya Math, and ISKCON became saved so that the League of 10K could eventually rid ISKCON of these so-called acharyas, where people grew to become disgusted by them when their practices got to be so degraded that they were being separated according to their genitals, male genital gurus or female genital gurus. How low must we think, shall we say, right? That whole thing, like that objection at the beginning by that devotee, he was saying, no, not female gurus. And he started talking female, very sexually. I mean, he was referring to females as female genital gurus. And then it meant you leave their place for male genital gurus. That's not what a guru is. So that whole female male guru is just a cover up for a sexual attribution of guru. The woman guru that gives birth, the male guru that impregnates the woman, that's not ISKCON, that's not Krishna consciousness, that is called Maya. Pure, unadulterated Maya. So anyhow, so to finish up with the gurus, I think we have Prabhupada engineered that these guys would become Diksha gurus so that they would fall down, so that people would lose faith in them, so that we, in 2022, would come along and rectify the situation. And Mohit Prabhu, you are on board for rectifying a situation that started out in its disastrous course, even at the beginning in 1965. The devil grew with the angels all the way along is ISKCON. The bad qualities and the good qualities all thrived. Now we've come to the point where we have to say, Krishna or Maya, choose. Choose. Do you want Krishna or do you want Maya? Choose. You see? So Mahit, now you talk. What did you get from this?
Yeah, Prabhu, like generally these ISKCON have been very helpful. Like for personally, I have been reading books of Prabhupada for many years and hearing his lectures. But now, just like the one verse that Prabhupada used to quote every time, many times he quoted this verse that Yadvadi Sri Krishna Padarvindayo Navanavadham Rantumasit. That when I have developed an attraction towards the lotus feet of Krishna, I get new tastes. So the same new mellows, like we can feel the new mellows whenever now, even if we are reading very basic philosophical text of Prabhupada, like you are not body, you are the soul, and these things. So actually, that level understanding now can be developed. Like generally many people usually who just transgress the authority and read previous acharyas books, they usually say that Prabhupada's philosophy is very basic and repetitive. But even if in every page we can find these things that raising above three modes, bodily platform and these things. So we can
don't need. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we can very well understand that if we sometimes relate those things like rising above the bodily platform, then we can relate it with that Shiksha Ashtakam verse, that Amani na mana dena, that not accepting any kind of respect for yourself and giving all respect to others. And
well, that's very easy when ISKCON is centered on Prabhupada. It's impossible when ISKCON is centered on ego-driven Kanista Adhikari initiating guy called a guru who is simply trying to make you a member of their religious club, not a enlightened being.
Exactly. Like these,
I
just
like
like
your understanding. It's brought it to the basics. In other words, from this point of view, the basics make sense, is what you're saying, I think, right?
yes, Prabhu. Actually, the basics make sense because many people are like, might be bodily, we might see them like winning over their gross body, but their mind is overpowering their intelligence always to consider themselves as advanced enough to jump onto Ras Leela or previous Goswami literatures and transgress the authority. But sometimes we see that these basics are the very much essential reason that Prabhupada used to emphasize on every lecture, every engagement, that you must raise above
Exactly.
this bodily platform. Because as long as they are on, because Prabhupada himself might have seen these bodily platform in his god brothers and Gaudiya Math, that many of them were not very much elevated, but they became gurus. And
Might have seen. What else was there to see?
yeah, so that's
That's the
why I
only thing
think,
you could see. Just like ISKCON, you go into an ISKCON temple, all these nice devotees, you offer obeisances, but where's the spiritual kata? Where are people actually excited about serving and surrendering to Krishna?
yes,
We,
like
we have 2 minutes.
I was waiting for that.
I was also
Thanks,
waiting for
Prabhupada.
that. Very
Thank you.
good.
Of
yeah,
course, if
but
there are
like,
any other, that's great. Mohit, what you're saying is glorious.
Very
and yesterday I was like reading that
You have
lecture.
got from that little square of
Hmm.
uppercase lettering that we just studied, you have gotten the core realization from that, which then made everything that you've experienced in Krishna consciousness understandable and and easy to access, and that most people are reading books simply to have a lot of book pastimes in their heads without knowing any purpose other than that, without
it's all
any surrender to Prabhupada.
it's all Krishna's blessing, Prabhupada's blessing. Maybe previous years Prabhu must have done something. Must
Yes.
have done bhakti. That's why this all I've got.
Well,
It's not at
then
all
they will.
mine.
I am looking to write things myself, and you also write. And you must write. Why should I write? You write. Mahaprabhu writes. Ramachandra writes. We should write stuff so that people will come to us and you with tears in their eyes saying, please help me. I've been
So
an
I
ISKCON
used to
devotee
write.
for 20 years. Please help me now.
Yeah. So I used to write a lot. I mean, I used to write poetry. So
Oh,
I'll
really?
try write. Yeah, I used to write poetry. There's in India, there's a specific word called shairi. So I used to write shairis.
Oh,
So
really? Did you publish?
yeah, bro. I published it, but yeah, people take it in a bad sense that this guy is like into love and all. Material love. They
Doesn't
think
matter.
material love. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. If an artist likes to paint flowers, it doesn't mean he doesn't like austerity.
Yeah,
It's 10
exactly.
o'clock.
Yeah, okay. I too have written a lot of poetry. So, but not
Great.
published. But
Haribo.
yeah, Haribo.
I'll
So
share
the
my
thing is
poetry
that
with you, bro.
you're writing in Hindi, Rajasthani, or in
English.
English,
Both
huh?
English, Hindi. Both the languages. Yeah.
And but not Rajasthani.
Not Rajasthani, bro. I'm not that much proficient. Hindi and English both. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So the thing is, try publishing.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, bro.
we have one last comment from Sasi Kumar. He has his hand raised for a while. So,
Sure.
Prabhu, Sasi Kumar, Prabhu, you want to make a comment, then we'll end it.
With your kind permission, we can go over.
Yes, go ahead,
Hare
Sasi Kumar, Prabhu. Yes.
We can go over.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh, there you are.
Haribo.
That you're amazing devotee. Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Hari
Prabhu.
Bol, Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Very well.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Uh-huh.
Hare Krishna.
Uh-huh. Haribo.
Let's go 10 minutes over if we can.
Prabhu?
Yes, bolo.
I'm sorry,
Hey.
Rupa.
Rupa,
Is it,
we understand that you have a very strict schedule, so please, we will forgive you if you want to go. But if you want to stay, that's also wonderful. We have got a new devotee on here who's been here before, and he is so interesting.
With a beautiful tilak.
Very good mind.
Beautiful
You
tilak.
can see, look
Love
at
it.
his hair, look at his tilak, look at his beard and mustache, and look at his glasses. You'll want to stay.
Mamma mia.
Okay,
Mamma
okay,
mia.
let him speak. Let him speak. Let him speak. He wants to say something.
And look at that. Look at his chowder.
Fantastic.
Okay, go ahead, Prabhu.
And nice buttons on your kurta too. Anyhow, keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, let him speak now, Narayan.
Oh, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, Prabhu, please speak.
Prabhu, is it right to question Acharya, or should we accept whatever Acharya says as truth blindly? Or if so, why did Ramanujacharya question against his guru Adav Prakash, Madhvacharya against his guru Achyuta Preksha, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu against Vallabha Bhattacharya? They did
You
not
need to-
accept whatever their Acharya says blind.
You need
It
to
was my
translate for us, Ramachandra Singh Das.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so Sasikumar Prabhu is asking, is it all right to question the Acharya?
On what? In what way?
In what way, Sasikumar Prabhu?
Yeah, if some philosophies that Acharya is saying, if he did not satisfy with it, or something, if we feel wrong there, can we question?
Well, if you mean question, if you mean contradict or disagree, we should not disagree with the Acharya. But if we disagree with the Acharya, because he's pure and I'm not, and if I say something, but based on my intelligence, I disagree, you can have to ask it in such a way that when he answers, you can accept his answer as the truth, not that you've defeated the Acharya.
Yes.
You cannot disagree. I said you cannot disagree because how can you read all his books? You know, like 100 times you got to read it, right? Before you disagree.
Yes.
We're talking about Prabhupada,
And not
definitely.
Prabhupada, I said general, I'm asking.
Not 100 times, unlimited times, Haribol.
Unlimited times,
Then
yeah.
also.
And there's
Then
a
also
good
we
thing.
can't.
Prabhu, there's a very good thing. If you find something in Prabhupada's writing that you disagree, keep it, write it down, bring it to this meeting, openly disagree, and we will discuss it and see either we accept your version or Prabhupada's version.
If he understood that, you may want to repeat that now, Narayan.
Ramachandra, can you repeat?
Oh, he's saying, Sasikumar Prabhu, if you have any disagreements or something that you don't understand in Prabhupada's books, you kindly bring it here and we'll discuss it here and then.
Yes.
Of course, I will. I mean,
bring it here.
to do it right.
No, don't disagree secretly. If you disagree secretly, it's exactly like getting cancer. The cancer in your lung or in your liver or something, it starts out a little, it's a doubt. Cancer doubts the body. It disagrees with the body. So then if it continues to disagree, it gets bigger and bigger, then it kills you. So you don't want to be killed by a doubt.
Right.
And in fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna discusses, kill the demon of doubt with the weapon of knowledge.
Yes.
Because the doubt is a demon. It goes against reality. But if I say, my intelligence says this and Prabhupada says that, then bring that here. And we will talk about it for an hour or 2 hours if you want.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Until we've all resolved it in some way that will all come out richer in the end.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu, even I used to write some poems on songs. Should I write, being a Krishna devotee, should I write only poems, or can I write like about the society or any materialistic topic, or should I write only regarding Krishna?
Haribol, you should join again. It's repeating. You should join
Even
again.
Mohit Barani Prabhu also was asking.
So what is his question? Which I don't understand.
I don't know. His audio connection is not good.
Tell him to join again, Haribol. Haribol, tell him to
battery problem maybe, or battery charging problem?
It may be a statement and not a question.
Shashi Kumar Prabhu, join again. Yeah, Haribol. Vinayak
Haribol.
Prabhu.
All good statements or questions.
Vinayak
Haribol
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
sorry to interrupt your thing in between. You were saying something, right? You wanted to ask something? Haribol.
No, Prabhu. Like I think today is not the time. So.
Okay, sir. I was very sorry to interrupt
the
you.
main thing is
Now's
we
not the
really
time.
like your association. You're our godbrother. Why not come sooner? And then we can enjoy your association for a longer period of time.
Why can't you guys
Haribol.
come to India directly? No, come to India
I-
directly. We can live together in
Oh,
Vrindavan.
I would
that
love it.
wouldn't- This is better because we're
Yeah.
translating across the ocean, and we're thereby purifying everything in between you and me and Ramachandra and Mahaprabhu and Mohit. Everything is purified in between us by the radio waves that are going.
Yeah, Haribol.
The
Hare
internet
Krishna.
cosmic algorithmic ray.
Okay, he's here, so let him ask the question, Prabhu.
Okay, what is it?
Prabhu. Yeah. Even I used to write some songs, haikus, and poems. Being a poet and also being a devotee of Krishna, should I or any poet write only regarding songs or poems of Krishna or prayers of Krishna, or can I write any songs about materialistic things?
Okay, who is going to explain that? Because I couldn't quite, because of the electronics. What can you say, Ramachandra?
Electronics.
I can just answer just one thing, bro. If it's for Krishna, go ahead, right? People will bodge you, people will say something for you that you are in this and this. If it's for Krishna, that's correct. If it's through Prabhupada, it's correct. Rather, nothing else is correct except this, right?
Yes.
Just a simple question. If it's for
But
Krishna,
if you're a poet, you can take a thought of Krishna consciousness and turn it into a poem, which is not directly quote of Prabhupada, but which glorifies the spirit and principle of Srila Prabhupada.
Yes. Okay.
Mohit also.
Yes.
Is that what you were indicating? Yes.
Yeah.
Because there have been so many great saints that glorified and created poetry also to glorify Krishna or to glorify things that Krishna they're touched by something that Krishna touches. That's all very nice. But we should not try to do things instead of Krishna. You see what I mean? We don't write something to replace Krishna. We write things to collaborate with Krishna and to get the blessing of Krishna. Just consider Krishna in Krishna Loka. He's surrounded by gopis. He doesn't tell the gopis what to say. The gopis say whatever they please.
Yes, gopi gita very deep.
Because he relishes their spontaneous words. He doesn't think, is that what I would have wanted, or is that not what I would have wanted? He accepts what they say. But we're not gopis. We're not on that platform. So, but we can practice in the direction of spontaneous love, but not think of ourselves as great scientists if we do it.
Okay, it's 10:10.
Okay, can you come back on an earlier stage next time? I mean, we would love to talk to you for an hour, but we don't have the hour to talk to you with.
Even I used to talk to you for an hour, like every minute, every second.
So, which state of India are you in? Remind me.
Bangalore, Karnataka.
You're in Bangalore.
Bangalore.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Karnataka. Yeah, as you said, you know Madhu Pandit, right?
If you don't mind my saying so, with your way you look and your hair, your glasses, and chadar and kurta, the way you look like a Bengali poet from the 1940s or something. They would do that. They would go a little extra in every direction.
We love it.
Yeah, I don't know if you're extra.
Thanks.
But whatever it is, when I met these in 1970, I met people that were left over from the old days of Bengal, of the time of Rabindranath Tagore and people like that. And when I saw them, I would just practically faint with pleasure to see how nicely they crinkled the sleeves with iron, crinkled their sleeves. And when they walked up the muddy road called Chitpur Street in Bengal, in Calcutta, they would walk over Chitpur Street with their dhoti floating a half an inch from the mud and never get even one spot of mud on their dhoti. That's how elegant they were. Mystical. I don't know how they could do it.
Okay, so I think it's about time
to on
to.
my knees. I would still get mud on it.
All right, so thank you to all the devotees for watching on Facebook, on YouTube, anywhere else. If you'd like to get in contact with us, please check the description. We have the WhatsApp page there, and you can join the WhatsApp page and then connect with us or send us a message.
Now, Ramachandra Prabhu,
Yes.
everybody here on this call right now, do you have their email addresses?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Prabhu,
Could you
please
send
add us
that?
in that
Could you
emailing.
send that thing we studied tonight to everybody so that next time they can offer their own critiques?
Sure, I'll do that. I'll send it to all the devotees and we'll make a list where whatever you send, we'll send it to all these devotees here.
Yeah,
So they'll
but
have
this
copies.
in particular, because this is starting a new trend of absolutism.
Right.
This is the answer. You have a question, this is the answer. How do you know it's the answer? Because it goes back to the core effortlessly, without offense, without saying ISKCON that, or Guru this, Guru that. It goes back to the core issue without offense, describing where the problems in ISKCON came from so that you can shed the problems and be happy.
Okay.
Chant Hare Krishna and be happy, Prabhupada said.
Jai. Okay. Thank you very much
Hare
to all the
Krishna.
devotees for joining.
Thank
Hare
you
Krishna.
so much.
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.